So, welcome back to another episode. Today, I thought I'd have a look at strategy guides. And basically, a lot of the strategy guides I've collected over the years. I have quite a diverse bunch of strategy guides, everything from action to role-playing games. And I just thought I'd use this episode to just talk about them and, go back and have a look at them and discuss some of the reasons why, I personally collect strategy guides. It's really interesting to look back on where strategy guides started from and where they are today. Back in 1988, you didn't have the internet. If you were stuck in a game, like a Nintendo game, you had to phone like the, Nintendo Power, the Nintendo Power hotline or whatever it was. Or you could luck out and find a strategy guide on it to help you get through it. And that was your only way to get through it. So strategy guides in that respect started off, as a pure means to help you get through the game. I remember for Street Fighter, like back in 1992, I got this strategy guide. I think it's published by GamePro. And it was like pretty cool because it actually shows you how to do all the moves for the characters. Man, the artwork sucks in this though. It's really, really bad. It's not the original Japanese artwork. It's actually all American. Do you know what? I think some of this artwork is from Street Fighter, the action figures or whatever, but man, it's pretty horrible. But it's really cool, strategy guides have actually turned into, quite the collectible thing now. Let's take for instance, Metal Gear Solid 3. If we open this up, we obviously have the strategy guide, but we also now have, you see that? That's the art of Metal Gear. So you're getting a lot more art books in there. And that's another thing that I wanted to get into, is I started collecting strategy guides, sometimes because, obviously I needed a little bit of help getting through a game. But later on, it started becoming, I would buy a game, and I would love to, buy the strategy guide, just to have the artwork. And I wouldn't necessarily need the strategy guide to get through the game. In fact, I hardly ever used them for that. I actually just had them just for the artwork and just as a collector's item, a piece to go with the game. Yeah, I just thought I'd take a second here and have a look at some of my favorite guides of all time. Here is one that I absolutely love. It is the official Nintendo Player's Guide. This came out in 1987, and it is a piece of the holy grail for a Nintendo collection. Because it actually was released by Nintendo, and it was all their original games. Legend of Zelda, and it had, everything in there for that. All the maps, everything. It's really, really cool. And as we go on, then we get into Punch-Out! And all that. And then we get into Super Mario Brothers and all that. It had all of that. Kid Icarus. All the initial games, Metroid. All that. It, to me, is the Nintendo Bible. It's definitely, if you're a collector out there, this is a really cool strategy guide to get. Yeah, the good old Persona 1 strategy guide by Game Fan. It's actually Game Fan books. They're on the back. That was released back in the day. Very thin, and I believe it's black and white. It is black and white. But it gave you all the maps and all that kind of stuff, and it was really cool to get a Persona strategy guide. Yeah, it's funny, I started getting really stupid to do with collecting strategy guides. I just started buying multiple strategy guides. Like here's the Metal Gear Solid 4 strategy guide, and then here's the limited edition one, and I haven't even cracked the seal on this. I just bought it just for collector value. I picked up Twilight Princess, both the strategy guides, just the limited edition one over here. Yeah, and over the years, strategy guides have gotten just massive in size, some of these. Like here is the Final Fantasy 12 limited edition one. And it's funny, you open it up, it's freaking massive. And obviously we have all the artwork inside and all that. But it comes with an art book, which is just tons of stuff in there. And then, the strategy guide itself, which is just absolutely massive. This stuff has just gone crazy over the years. Here's a nostalgic guide for myself. It is Parasite Eve 2. Classic Shenmue right here. This is really neat to see, the Ocarina of Time. Here's some goodies from the past. Brave Fencer Musashi for the PlayStation 1. Another nostalgic strategy guide by Game Fan Books again. They actually did a whole bunch of strategy guides back then. Super Mario 64. From Versus Books, it is Final Fantasy VII, the Ultimate Guide. It's funny back then, some strategy guides were pretty cool, with a lot of artwork, color, all that kind of stuff. And some of them were just garbage. Like here is Wild Arms from back in the day. And I mean, how boring is this? It's just pure text. on black and white. There's not even any pictures in it. That's just super lame. So one kind of sad note about strategy guides over the last year or so that I've noticed is, at least up here in Canada, EB Games is phasing them out, basically. So before I could walk in and buy Final Fantasy 12 for say, and buy the strategy guide for it, where now I can walk in and, you know, they don't have as many. They have like 4 or 5 strategy guides, when before they'd have about 20 to 30. And I think, you know, they just want to, you know, use the shelf space for selling games. They can make more money off games than they do strategy guides. But it's becoming harder and harder to get guides. You could usually always get them at EB Games. Up here in Canada, like, that really is the place to get them. The other place, obviously, is online. Obviously, you can get them from Amazon or whatever, and that's actually where I get them all from now, just to make sure I can always get a guide. Because actually, guides are becoming harder to find at times than games, and they're becoming just as rare. Like Nocturne. A lot of the Atlas strategy guides are really, some of those become very rare very fast. So I just thought I'd use this time to look at strategy guides and have a look at some of my small collection of them. And just to talk about them, because I think people always take strategy guides for granted. They're just like, oh, it's a guide to help you get through a game. And don't, you know, necessarily look at that as a collector's item. And it's actually a pretty cool part of gaming fandom on a whole as is. So I just wanted to bring them up and to talk about them a little bit. So until next time.